North Richland Hills. We're going to find that perfect house today. So if you are in the comment section, let me know in the comments. Well, if you're thinking about North Richland Hills, I don't know what that was about. If you're thinking about North Richland Hills, let me know in the comment section down below what you're considering. Have you heard of North Richland Hills? Are you looking for a suburb in DFW? What's your flavor? What are you after? What are you looking for? Because we're going to find that perfect house in North Richland Hills. We're going to take several different things into consideration. So we're going to start off with checking out where North Richland Hills is, looking at real estate prices. We're going to go do a deep dive on actual properties within North Richland Hills. So we're going to look at what some of the real estate looks like, and look at some things that you might not necessarily think to observe whenever you're searching for a property. So we're going to look at those details, and then we're going to break things open and give you three different financial or three ways to purchase the property. So three different loan options so you can make the best financial decision for you. Now, everything that we talk about will be linked down below in the description. So check it out. All of the tools, all of the calculators, and everything that we have going on is linked down below for you to leverage. So with that being said, let's not go there. Let's go here. All right, so let's do this. Let's start off with where a lot of us tend to start our journey, which is in an online portal, and that's okay. So whatever online portal you are looking at, whether that's Zillow, whether that's Realtor.com, whether that's Redfin, stay there. That is completely okay. Now, what we're going to be using for our purpose, for our illustration, and for our breakdown is a portal that's directly tied into the MLS, and that is Jaime Resendiz.exprealty.com. This is a website that is directly tied into the MLS, so you get real-time information on what has been listed, what has gone under contract, what went pending, and what has actually sold. So this is absolutely free for you to use if you want to use this for your searching pleasure. But also in the comment section down below and in this description, you're going to see a list of preferred homes for North Richland Hills. So if you're looking for that easy button, it can't get any easier than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to North Richland Hills, and right now in the city of North Richland Hills, there's 273 homes available for sale. So let me rephrase that. 273 properties. It may not be single family homes, but we're going to look at that here shortly. And at an average of $430,000. Now, this includes everything. This includes your condos. This includes land. This includes commercial, townhomes, and everything in between. But what we're going to do is we're only going to look at single family residences, because we're going to break that down a little bit further. So we're going to hit search. All right, so there's 165 properties available for sale right now in North Richland Hills. So this is single family residences. And let's take a quick peek of where North Richland Hills even is. As you can see here, it's on the suburb of Fort Worth. It's actually the closest to downtown Fort Worth that you could possibly get, with possibly an exception of White Settlement. So you have a good I guess if you count Haltom City technically is a city. So let me retract my statement. It's the second or third closest that you can get into downtown Fort Worth, which I really am a big fan of North Richland Hills. I actually used to have a boba tea shop in North Richland Hills. Fun fact, right off of the Grapevine Highway, right through here. So that's where our boba store used to be. Now, let's check this out. Now, whenever you're searching for a property, again, we're taking into assumption that we're finding that perfect home, finding that perfect house in North Richland Hills. There's a few considerations when you're searching for a property. So number one is going to be the commute. What type of commute are you looking for? If you are having to go into the office, if you're having to go into the warehouse, if you're having to go into wherever it happens to be, wherever you happen to be working, how far away do you want to be from work? So commute is a big consideration. Now, if you work from home, it's not going to be as important for you There you have a bit more freedom, a little bit more latitude on how far away you can be from the area. So that's number one, commute. What does that need to look like? The second thing that a lot of our clients look for, and things that we advise our clients, is what type of lifestyle are you looking for? Are you looking to have a lake lifestyle? Are you looking for an area where you can go to a park within walking distance? Are you looking for a community that has a ton of outdoor events? Are you looking for a community that has all the best restaurants that you could explore every single evening? Now, that has a lot to do with community. Now, we're not going to really touch too much on that particular aspect for the North Richland Hills because we have several videos already on this channel that talk about that. But that's a second consideration, a strong consideration for a lot of our clients. And the third consideration is budget. Can we afford to live in this particular area that we're searching for? So you're taking commute into the equation, you're taking in the community into consideration, and then you're also taking in the cost. So that's essentially your 3 C's: the commute, the community, and the cost. Those are the 3 things to look at. Now, with that being said, as you can see here, you have a good footprint. You have a good amount of homes to choose from here. When it comes to more expensive property, you're going to see more expensive get up here a little bit closer to Keller, a little bit closer to South Lake and Colleyville. This is where you're going to find more of the higher priced homes when you're looking at North Richland Hills. So I'll get in here a little bit tighter so you can see what it looks like from a real estate price perspective. So here you're going to see on the top right hand side, there's going to be more expensive homes. And then here towards the bottom, you're going to see more average to the DFW, and then the lowest priced property for North Richland Hills you're going to find here within the Iron Horse Boulevard and I always forget what this road is. Davis? Yeah, Davis. Awesome. So let's check this out. Let's look at the homes available for sale right now in North Richland Hills to give us an idea of the type of real estate that's available. The lowest price home right now in the city of North Richland Hills is $215,000. That is inexpensive for the area that you're looking at. Now, also, you're going to have to look at the condition of the home. That's the big indicator, because typically whenever you purchase the homes that are among the lowest priced in the area, there's some expectation or some requirement of updating, of repair that needs to come along with that initial purchase price. Now, when it comes to North Richland Hills, you're not going to see a ton of investor specials let me rephrase that, a ton of property that is sold on the MLS as an investor special. So most of the properties here, yeah, this one will need some work. I can already tell. This one is probably going to need some work as well based off of the price and the size of it. But here very quickly you start seeing some homes that have had a little bit of work. So this one has already been rehabbed. This one has already been rehabbed. This one has already had a bit of touch up. So you're not looking at a ton of investor properties, at least on the MLS. Now, this doesn't mean that there aren't a ton of investors going through North Richland Hills that is not true at all. It just means that a lot of the properties don't tend to hit the MLS when it comes to North Richland Hill areas. All right, so 285. We're getting into 300,000s. Right out of the gate, you see that there's about 30 homes available under 300,000. So there's inexpensive real estate, especially this is very coveted, especially there's another rehabbed, especially since you're talking about this proximity to Fort Worth. You also have access to other cities that a lot of people aspire to be in, whether that's Keller, whether that's Colleyville, whether that's South Lake. So you have access to the amenities, to the activities, to the lifestyle that those types of cities also bring in. And the most important part, without having to pay that real estate price. All right, so let's go to the luxury part of the equation real quick to see what's the most expensive home in North Richland Hills right now before we actually do a deep dive on a home that we're gonna pretend to purchase so we can go through the entire process without skipping a beat. So the most expensive home right now in the city of North Richland Hills is actually twice the expense of the second most expensive home, and that is a $2.4 million property that's being offered right now. So let's see what the house looks like. Let's do a little bit of daydreaming. Let's get a little bit of eye candy going, and then we can do our deep breakdown like we do with all of the other channels. So again, now would be a really good time if you're finding value in this content to go ahead and hit that like button. Also, if there's a city that you want us to cover as we go through all the cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, we've already covered every single city with different series. If there's a city that you want to see come up next in this series of finding that perfect house as we go through each city house by house basically, and then do a mock purchase, please let me know in the chat. We can make that happen. All right, so let's just do a very brief walkthrough of what this property looks like. $2.4 million offered in North Richland Hills. And then we're going to get into a breakdown of a average price property in North Richland Hills itself. Oh, I like that. That's unique. This is a different way to show the... You usually see this type of walkway in the back of the house. Now, I'll be quiet because I could start talking about these properties all day long. I'll do more of the commentary on the home that we're going to pretend to purchase. Great pool. This looks like a conference room. They have their own conference room. That's crazy. That's awesome. Look at that. That is a WeWork office right there. Okay. You have the farmhouse sink over here. Great cabinets. What is this? A little microwave down here? No, that's an oven. Wow, look at that. Now, this is unique. I like this. I like the island aspect, but then you have a little, I guess it's going to be more for your fruits, your vegetables. Just do a quick wash and then do what you need to do. Great contrast with, so you can tell that they're really good. They have a good eye for design, like as a designer. So what is this? Because you have the blue here contrasting with the white. Good design. So you have double ovens, you have the microwave. So then I guess I don't know what this is. This looks like a oven, but it could also be a microwave. I don't know. You have stainless steel appliances, gas range. You have the upstairs right behind the kitchen. Okay, that's interesting. You have some space for your wine. You have your wine cellar right there, or your wine cabinet. You have the big fan. Okay, this is unique, quite unique. Ton of windows, so you're gonna get a ton of light. Now I can't tell if this is morning or if this is evening, because if it's morning, well, that's gonna be a south. If it's evening, that's gonna be what? North? I'm getting my sites mixed up. I'm not a geoguesser. All right. Oh, look at that. Check out the primary bath. There's a lot of glass in this house, right? There's like a lot of glass. This is because this is unique right there. I have never seen that type of design with the little window on in your with the little window on your shower. We have some games over here. We have some gamers. Okay, that's cool. Very nice bathroom. So you have your own bathroom in this house or in this room. This looks like a loft. That's a cool loft. You have your own little snack bar. You have your sink. And then you have another primary. Oh, you have them back to back. Not primary. You have, I guess there must be 4 bathrooms here. 5. I've lost count. But really, okay, this is cool. You have your laundry room plus your second fridge back here. And then a fully finished out, what appears to be, how many garages is this? This looks like at least 4. and then a fully covered. This looks like a little screen here. Okay, to help out with the heat, help out with the sun. Very cool. Very cool house. I'm interested. How many? 6 bath. Yeah, that felt like a lot of bathrooms. And it's on 1 acre. Okay. The visionary passion for Mr. and Mrs. Soda sells every upgrade. Okay. So either these are people that lived in this house and built it, and they're moving now, or these are people that were investors and then really took a ton of. I mean, that's a beautiful home. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna break through, or we're gonna analyze a property as if we're purchasing in North Richland Hills today. So right now we're right in the middle price point. We're right in the average price point. So let's go into the. We don't usually buy older homes, at least in these breakdowns. So now it's going to be a good opportunity to do that and show you a few things that we look for whenever we're purchasing a home. So this home is 2228 square feet, 4 beds, 3 baths. So let's check out the details, and then we're going to do a breakdown of what it would cost us to purchase this home. So let's start off with the description to see if there's anything unique that we need to look for whenever we're doing this breakdown. Discover the stunning 4-bedroom, 3 full bath residence in the heart of North Richland Hills on an expansive lot. So how big is the lot? 1/4 of an acre. The home features are beautifully appointed. All right, so here's where you find out how illiterate I am. The home features a beautifully appointed kitchen with newer appliances, including stove and microwave, granite countertops, and a granite sink. Unwind in the spacious living room with vaulted ceilings and an electric LED color-changing fireplace set against a white stone hearth and French doors with built-in blinds. Open concept, ideal for entertaining guests. Enjoy the enhanced energy efficiency provided by the newer 5-ton HVAC system. It's a heck of a system. And added attic insulation. So that's good. That's good that unless they actually say this. So this is valuable. This is valuable information. Well, we would find out about this. But added attic insulation, unless you call that out, people aren't gonna know. The primary bedroom offers a private retreat with a recently added ensuite bathroom and large closet space. All bathrooms have been elegantly tiled and equipped with new vanities. Additional features, ample storage with walk-in closets, built-in garage shelves, a large storage closet with built-in shelvings, and an 8x16 shed in the backyard. Ring system is also included. All right, so that gives us some good intel of what type of work went into this property. Now again, this is North Richland Hills. We're finding that perfect house, so we're going to pretend to purchase this. So we're going to go through the financing and give us a good understanding of what they would actually mean for us to purchase this property of $395,000 in North Richland Hills. The county that we're in is Tarrant County, which is going to be important when we calculate the property taxes. All right, so $395 is the asking. Four bedrooms, 4 full baths, over 2,200 square feet. All right, so the rest of the information is going to be pretty standard, so not too much to write about. Now, easements, depending on the agent that works the listing, you're going to find oftentimes when there are easements, you're going to see utilities, and even when they're, let me rephrase that. Whether there are or aren't easements, you don't always see that called out in a listing most of the time, because homeowners actually themselves don't know. But what a lot of people don't realize is that most utility companies have an easement on your property, regardless if you realize that or not. So the fact that this says utilities, and in most cases you're going to see none, that's really not going to be, that's not going to give you too much information unless there actually is an easement. But utilities, that's nothing to worry about, because again, most people don't realize that there are easements by utility companies on your property, whether you know it or not. All right, so Birdville ISD, that's going to be important for us as we do our breakdown for property taxes. Exclusions, items in garage and hose. I'm gonna guess that there's something in the garage that's affixed, meaning it's attached to a wall or a floor, or so that's why they're calling this out. But generally, with exclusions, that's the only thing that you're calling out. Things that are already affixed to the property. Anything like personal belongings and items like not shelves, tables, or something that is loose that is not tied to the property, that is already assumed that they're not, it's not going to be transferred over to the new buyer. So the fact that they have items in the garage here listed, I don't know what that's about. So we're going to look at the garage. So again, these are things that I'm looking for as I am. Let me put myself on screen again. These are things that I am looking for as if I was purchasing this property. So I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts that are happening right now. So 1978, this is right at that cutoff point where where lead-based paint was stopped being used. So any properties that have been that were built before 1978, including 78, we do need to disclose what's called, or share what's called a lead-based addendum, letting you know that this is how this is the paint that was being used could have used lead in it. So this is any property that was built beyond 1978 does need this disclosure. Levels 1, so 1 bedroom. I'm not seeing a spot for HOAs, so maybe there's not one. Vacant. HOA type none, so there are no HOAs on this property. All right, and the rest of the information is kind of a repeat, just in reverse. So we have our assignment now. Let's check out this house real quick, and then we're gonna get into the math. The reason I want to share at least these pictures is because a lot of our clients find value in what are the things that I look for. A lot of things that are that we look for as we're looking through property, because we just see a ton of it. So it recently had a price cut here, so there's been a little bit of resistance on the price, at least from where they have it. All right, so right out of the gate, we are on a corner lot, so that does explain a little bit of a fourth of an acre, which is pretty cool. You have some mature trees that are far enough away from the property to where the roots getting underneath the property is not going to be as big of a deal. Now, don't mishear me, it can still be a deal, but it's probably not going to be one. Now, what you are going to see is that at this point, there's so much shade that grass is going to have a hard time growing here. So it's just something to be mindful of. So one of the ways that you could help with that would be trim off some branches to get some actual sunlight down below that. That doesn't always fix it, but it's something to be mindful of. Now, since this property was built in 1978, they're not going to necessarily have a lot of the characteristics that you're used to seeing with newer properties. So one thing that immediately jumps out at me is the windows. So these windows are quite narrow. These windows you're used to seeing more open windows, a little bit wider windows, and you're used to seeing a little bit more. Now, this actually, for the time period that we're talking about, does have a decent amount of windows, but they're just not as big as you would imagine. So at this point, 1978, you are looking at the windows having been replaced at least once, most likely. So just going through the year, just a few assumptions that I'm going to make along the way, where just the cycle of a property, or just the cycle of the age of the property. So if you're looking at a property that is 78 was, how old is that? 24, 40 plus years? Is that 48 years? Something like that. So at this point, you're looking at a property that has probably had 2 to 3 HVAC units gone through it, 3 to 4 water heaters gone through it, and I'm just being very conservative there, just giving you some basic stats, basic assumptions here. This property looks very well maintained from the outside. There's no landscaping to really judge off of that. There's a few shrubs here and there, but outside of the mowing, there's not much that we can go based off of. Now, it was called out in the description that this property is vacant. That means that there's no owner living in it presently, so we're not going to have the luxury of seeing it with furniture to really get our minds going and see what the property could look like once it's furnished. One of the things that immediately jumps out at me, in addition to the floor, which looks like a good floor, is the windows. The windows do appear to have been updated. Now, that's a good sign. That's not something that you would have to invest in, because windows, when you're looking at replacing all of them, can get a bit pricey. The fireplace looks pretty darn good. I think that that's a really very cool design, and everything that goes into that has already been done, so it's good. Double entry doors back here to the backyard. Now, this is an interesting layout. One of the reasons that I suspect, this is just a suspect, I have no, I'm seeing this property for the first time. One of the reasons that I suspect that the property is still on the market is, the obvious answer is that it's overpriced. But really, if you dig deeper, this type of design is not for everybody. When you have a wall here that is kind of serving no purpose outside of just kind of like enclosing this particular area, which would be seen as the dining area, that's a little bit different design than what we're used to seeing. Same thing here. We're used to seeing just the island be an island and not have a cutout here be the case. So again, these are just things that as different as you're buying property, you go into different homes, you're looking mostly off of price. You're not necessarily looking at the year that the properties were built. Now, it will happen that there's been some homes that you walk in that are in the 2000s, or some homes that you walk in that are in the 80s, 70s, 90s, and throughout. So for today's standards, if you compare this property to a more recently built property, it looks a little bit different. So that's what I suspect, that there's not as much demand for this particular property because it is a little bit different. So just based off of all the things I already called out. Now, I have seen this layout many times. This is actually something that was updated, so it was not like this. It's this particular layout is actually like this was cut out in the original layout for this particular property. It's enclosed, so they did actually open it up, believe it or not, but it looks a little bit different than what you might be used to with the more recent properties. You have the backsplash, so this is updated, and this is stainless steel appliances, updated cabinets. You have your electric stove here, granite, your backsplash. So this is nice. It's just, it looks a little bit different than what you might be used to seeing. You have recessed lighting up there, so everything has been updated to really cool, I was about to say really cool standards, but it has been updated. So you see everything here is newer, right? So I think that I suspect that what's holding this property back and why it had to take a price cut, a little price shaving, was of course the overpricing. But if you dig deeper, it's more of the style, more of the layout. Now, these rooms you're generally going to see in this 1978, you're generally going to see rooms that are about 8 by 10, 9 by 10, not your bigger rooms that you're seeing in more newer houses like 10 by 12s being more the standards. As your primary bedroom. So you're going to have your primary, this is your bedroom, and then you're going to have your bath over here. Now, notice the windows here are a little bit bigger this time. These are made. Those were made. You have updated bathrooms. Nice standing shower there. That used to be a tub, but they must have replaced it. And then you have some shelves that were installed later. Now these, you can tell that these were installed later. Interesting. Okay, so I don't remember how many, I think this was 3 baths, but there's a full bath here. Again, everything is updated. You have your laundry. You have a pergola back here that was built. And then I'm just looking at the brick here. You have gutters in the front and in the back, so that's good. And this over here looks like a privacy fence. Yeah, you have a privacy fence here of 8 feet. You have some landscaping being added. You have some gravel back here. You have some gravel back here to help with some of that water retention. And then you have that that storage, that shelf, that storage unit that they were talking about. All right. Okay. So let me know, what do you think about that property? Because we're about to buy it. So hopefully you like it, because we're about to go and do the math for this property. Let's get into this. All right. So with our tool, the Loan Clarity Advisor tool, which is linked down below, we're going to avoid the estimates. We're going to go directly into exact amounts, because I want to show you how to do the breakdown on each one of the numbers that we need to find. Now again, this is linked down below, but if you're having a hard time finding this is a tool that was created by Kyle Seagrace with Win the House You Love, which is a fantastic YouTube channel that you're going to want to check out. We use this particular tool for all of our breakdowns, all of our analysis. So this is exactly what we use. I'm going to show you exactly how our agents leverage it for an analysis on their clients. So the current situation on how we go about purchasing properties. All right, so we are purchasing this property in North Richland Hills. We already went through some information. We like the house, we like the layout. We're going to go after it. So $395,000, that's the price that we're looking at now. Monthly tax. When you are purchasing in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you have to have at least a basic understanding of property taxes. Why? Well, not having a basic understanding of property taxes is going to put you in a situation where you might find yourself with increasing monthly mortgage payments to where they become unmanageable at some point. Now, you can't really control what the property tax rate is, but what you can control to a certain extent is what the assessed value of your home is, which is what the county appraisal district uses to charge you taxes on. You'll see what I mean here shortly. So task number one, quest number one, is finding what is the property tax rate for North Richland Hills. That is mission number one. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to North Richland Hills property tax rate. We're going to go straight to Google, and you might see, oh, it's 0.489. All right, so let's head over here and put, no, that's not, no. I wish that was too easy. That would be too obvious. No. We have to go a little bit deeper. When you're purchasing a property in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, understand a few things. Well, number one, you're paying property taxes. That's obvious, but I have to call it out. You're paying property taxes because you're the owner of this property now. The moment that you stop being the owner of this property is the moment that you stop paying property taxes. So number one, you're paying property taxes. Two, the property taxes in the state of Texas altogether are higher than most states in the entire United States. So Texas has the sixth highest property tax rate in the country, with New Jersey being number one. The third thing to understand about property taxes is, especially here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, is that you're looking for up to 5 numbers that you're going to add together to get a property tax rate. Let me say that again. You're looking up to 5 numbers. You're looking for up to 5 numbers that you're going to add together to get what your property tax rate actually will be. All right. So the first 3 are going to be standard across every single city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and I mean standard not in the amount. I mean standard in the fact that you're going to have to find these numbers. Number one, you're going to find the city tax rate, which is actually what you're seeing right here. You're going to find the county tax rate, which in this particular case, we have to find Tarrant County, and the ISD tax rate. So in this particular case, it's Birdville. So these are the three numbers that you're looking at for in every city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So city, county, ISD. Now, I mentioned that there's up to 5. The other 2, in some cases, you're going to have 0 of those. In some cases, you're going to have 1. And in other cases, you're going to have those other 2. So that's going to be a higher education tax. So think of community college, and a hospital network tax. So if you're on the Fort Worth side of things, think JPS, John Peter Smith Hospital Network. So those are the 2 numbers that can potentially show up. So city, county, ISD, and then potentially higher education and hospital network. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to North Richland Hills and see if they break it down for us. And they do. A plus North Richland Hills. All right, so right out of the gate, you should be pretty excited real quick. You should be pretty excited. Why? Well, you see that in just 3 years ago, the property tax rate altogether was 2.49. Now it's 2.19. It has been going down. Now, pay special attention to whenever you're looking for a property. So that's why I call it out whenever we're looking for one, is what ISD we're in. And this one was Birdville. Let me find it for you real quick. We're in Birdville ISD. So that's why we're going to be using this one, right? So we have the 2023 rates. So we have the first, let's recap. We have the city, which is right here. We have the county, which is right here. We have the ISD, which is right here. And in this case, we have the higher education, which is right here, the community college, and then the hospital network, which in this case, it is JPS, John Peter Smith Hospital District. So we're going to add these together, and thankfully they've done the math for us, so we don't have to even worry about that. This is the property tax rate today. Now, not all cities are like North Richland Hills where they flat out spell it out for us. In many cases, we have to go and find it. In many cases, we have to go to the county itself and get this information. Not all cities make it this easy, so we're spoiled today. We're going to take it. We're going to take this as a W for today. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back here, and I'm just going to preload it. I'm going to put 0.02193659. Okay, I wrote that wrong. 0.21936. I'll leave it at that. So I'm taking this percentage, so 2.19%. I'm taking 0.0219. Oh, you can't see it, can you? Right there. I'm taking this, and I'm going to multiply it times this. Now, I am multiplying it on a conservative valuation. Why is that the case? Because I'm multiplying it times what appears to be the market value of the home. So what you could potentially sell this property for. So we're going to pretend it's $395. I am not multiplying it times the assessed value. The assessed value is generally going to be lower. Under the assessed value, it's something that the county appraisal district takes a percentage of the market value, and also you're factoring in some discounts in the form of exemptions. So like homestead exemptions, being over 65 exemption if you happen to be over 65, disability exemptions. So there's some exemptions that you have access to that lowers your assessed value, so you don't pay as much in property taxes. So again, what we're using here is the market value, which is going to give us a conservative number, which means it's a higher number than what you're actually going to pay in property taxes. So we're going to multiply this, the number that we just talked about, we're going to multiply times that. 395 is what we're multiplying it. So that gives us a property tax yearly rate of $86.64, so $8,664, and we're going to divide that by 12. Which tells us that we're going to be spending about $722 in property taxes per month. Now, again, this is a conservative amount. You're going to be paying less than this, at least for the first several years. As the homes continue to appreciate, as the homes continue to go up in price, that is actually going to increase. Just a little heads up there. But for now, we're actually going to be in a really good spot because we have baked in a little bit of cushion, baked in a little bit of a safety net, knowing that this is actually a little bit more than what we're actually going to pay. Monthly insurance, here again we have to make an assumption. Here again we have to make an estimate, and the best way to make this estimate is multiplying 0.75, so 0.75%. So it's less than a percent. Again, 0.75%. It's not 1%. It's 0.75%. So if you're going to load this into your calculator to find what that number is, you're going to put 0.0075 because it's less than 1%. 0.0075. This is just think of it like your little equation, if you will. And we're going to multiply this times the value of the home, which is $395. This lets us know that we're roughly going to be spending about $2,962, so almost $3,000 for our home insurance premium. So we're going to divide that by 12. And what we're going to be paying in homeowners insurance, this can vary, but this gives you a good conservative number, $246. $246 is what our monthly premium is going to be on the purchase of this home. HOA, there was no HOA to speak of, so we're not going to do any of that. So right now we have a really good understanding of what's going on in North Richland Hills. Again, this is entire strategy is based off of finding that perfect house in North Richland Hills. We're going through an actual example with the prices and everything in real life, in a real life scenario, as if we were purchasing this property in North Richland Hills today. All right, so what we're gonna do now, is we're gonna give 3 different financing options. So unless we buy cash, we're going to be financing, which means we're going to be taking out a mortgage to purchase this property. And the first option that we're going to give ourselves is a 5% option. The second option with a conventional loan. The second option is an FHA loan at 5% down. And the third option is going back to the conventional loan, but 20% down. So what we're going to do is we're going to load these in. Now, something to understand. The lowest down payment that you can make for a conventional loan is 3% down. So you can put as little as 3% down on a conventional loan and get approved for that loan. From an FHA perspective, the lowest that you can go, why does it say value? Oh, I had a space. Okay, so when I copied this amount right here, instead of just typing it in, I copied it, and that's why it didn't give us a number. Okay, anyway, so from an FHA perspective, that FHA loan, the lowest down payment that you can make is 3.5%. And on the conventional 20%, I'll share with you why I did that here shortly. For our purposes today, we're gonna go, I'm sorry, this one has to be a 20%. For our purposes today, what we're gonna do is we're going to assume 30 years on all loans. We're going to also go and find the interest rate that is available for right now at the time of this recording. And the way that we do that is by going over to Google and putting it, what is the interest rate today to buy a house? I like to go to bank rate because that seems to be the most updated right now. So at the moment of this recording, we are working on a Saturday here. And it is 6.6% for a 30-year note. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to go to 6.6%. Here we're going to go, don't do what I did. Don't do what I did. I'm messing up. 6.6%. 6.6%. 6.6%. All right, so let's talk about the differences that we're going to start seeing. When we do anything less than 20% down, which in this option 1 and option 2, we're putting less than 20% down in these 2 loans, conventional and FHA. When we put less than 20% down, we're paying what's called mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is something that the lender takes out on you, is an insurance that the lender takes out on you in the event that you default. So not only do they have the recourse of getting that property back whenever you default, but they're also making a little bit of money just in the event that you do end up doing that. It's another way of saying that they're going to make a little bit more money regardless. So it's not enough that you're paying the interest that you're paying, but they're also going to add another interest or another assessed fee per se that will recoup a little bit of the liability or recoup a little bit of money to reduce their liability on you. So you're paying mortgage insurance, is long story short. And that's because you didn't put 20% down on the purchase of this property. So that's why I gave you option 1, option 2, and then option 3. I'm going to show you what it looks like without mortgage insurance. Now, the second thing before we move on is that with a conventional 5% down or any conventional product, if you put less than 20% down, eventually that mortgage insurance goes away. And that's going to vary depending on how fast the homes appreciate and also a little bit of the math. But on average, you're going to see it from 8 to 10 years, you're going to see the conventional, the mortgage insurance be wiped away, because at some point you will own over 20% of your property. Under the FHA loan, mortgage insurance does not go away. It stays there forever and for always until that loan is paid off, refinanced, or you sell your home. Those are 3 ways that you get rid of FHA. Either you pay it off altogether, you refinance into another loan product, or you sell that house, because at that point the loan is satisfied because somebody pays you for it and you pay it off. All right, so we're going to get more into that here shortly, but I just wanted to make that quick distinction so you knew what that was about, because you're going to see monthly MI, which means monthly mortgage insurance, pop up, and it's going to show up here for this loan. It's going to show up here for this loan. Now, let's talk about points for a quick second. Points are essentially you buying down the interest rate if you so choose. You don't have to. You get a par value. You get a quoted from a lender at par, meaning this is the interest rate that you have access to right now, but you also have the option to buy down the interest rate. So whenever you buy down a point, you're paying for that. So whenever you buy a point, it means that you're lowering the interest rate, but it's another way of saying you're prepaying interest. At least that's how I view it. So when you buy down a point, here's what you're doing. If you buy down 1 point, don't think that it wipes away 1 percentage point. No, that would be too awesome. You're wiping away you're going to wipe away like 0.25% or so. So here, this loan would come down to 2.35 or so, give or take. Like, it's not going to be exact, but just give you a realistic example of how low you could potentially go with buying down 1 point. Now, what's that going to cost you? Here, there's a little bit more of a simple math. There's a more simple formula that goes along with it. And that'll be 1% of the loan amount that you borrowed is going to be the expense of that point. So as an example, if you borrowed $360,000, not the full purchase price, $360,000, then it would be about $3,600 is what it would cost you to buy down that point, which would mean that for $3,600, your interest rate could be roughly 6.35%. Now, I'm making a few very, very educated guesses, but it's going to vary case by case. Just give you kind of some ballparks to be working from. That's what points mean. Again, points are you're lowering the interest rate, and then it's another way of saying you're prepaying interest at the end of the day. All right. Lender fees. Lender fees are going to be all across the board. Lender fees could be 1 to 2% of the loan value. So I'm going to leave this blank for the time being. But what I encourage you to do is go down to the description and download this or get access to this, or just go directly to winthehouseyoulove.com, which again is our partner YouTube channel with Kyle Seagraves, where you'll have access to this tool. And the reason I want you to get it is because you can follow along, but also I want you to get it because what this will do, it'll allow you to compare a Chase loan versus a Wells Fargo's loan versus a Rocket Mortgage loan versus any loans that you have out there as you're quoting people. You get to compare true apples to apples of everybody that's attempting to lend you money so you can buy that home, and you get to see in the short term and in the long term how much it would actually cost you with each option. So this way there's no guessing. It's just going to be straight math, and all you have to do is just input the numbers that they give you, and boom, you get a result. So I want you to go and do that. That would be the best, highest and best use of your time with this particular tool. All right, so extra payments. If you plan to make some extra payments, you will add that here. You can do this month by month, or you can do this in bulk sum. So if you plan to put $50 extra for your mortgage, or if you plan to do every time I do my taxes as an example, I want to put X amount, you can do that here. Now, we're not going to do that in this particular breakdown because I don't want to add too many options, too much complexity to our breakdown here any more than I have already. But this is a tool that allows you to do that. Now, after 10 years, and after any, you can go after all 30 years if you want. But after 10 years, what's what loan wins out. You're going to find that most of the time, if you do the breakdown that I give, like a 5% down conventional, 5% FHA, and 20% conventional, most of the time that you're going to find that the conventional loan wins out. Why is that the case? Well, because you're not borrowing as much. And you're also going to find that whenever you do 20% down, you're actually going to get a lower interest rate. Just here I'm doing a straight across the board interest rates, knowing that the interest rates are going to change slightly depending on if you get an FHA or a conventional or how much you put down. But just to try to keep as much apples to apples comparison, I went ahead and just put the exact amount for all of them. But after 20 years, you will have saved let's call it $65,000. Now here's the kicker, and I can already hear the comments. Well, sure, I would love to say that, but that means that I have to put $80,000 down. It's a lot of money. I recognize that. So if you're not in a position to put a 20% down, then it's not even an option. So don't put 20% down, because that's not an option for you. You can put down as little as 3% unconventional or as little as 3.5%. The reason that we went with 5% today, at least with these examples, because most of our clients end up going with 5%. But with that being said, if you are in a position to be able to put 20% down and have no, if you have no other vehicle out there that will either make you or save you this type of money, then maybe consider putting additional money down if you have nowhere else to park it. All right, and then this is the graph that breaks it all down. So you can go to all 30 years to see how much you would have saved in 20 years. I'm sorry, to save under the conventional 20% down, and you see the net cost of this loan. Now this is something that you can adjust on your tool once you get it, so you can see the breakdown in chart form. But we're gonna go down here and look at these numbers in the table form just for a quick second, because I want to point something out. After the 10 years, you see the difference between having a conventional 5% being this and a FHA being that $560,000, and then the conventional being drastically less, given that you put drastically more in down payment. But so that's one thing, just seeing the difference of what it would look like from a conventional 5%, FHA 5% down, and conventional 20% down. But the other thing I wanted to point out was, when you do an FHA product, whenever you do an FHA loan, you're going to be paying a 1.725% in finance fee. So essentially finance mortgage insurance. That is assessed right here. You won't have that on a conventional loan, and you're certainly not going to have it, well, on this 5% down, and you're certainly not going to have it on a 20% conventional. But in this case, you will be paying that plus the mortgage insurance that we've been talking about. Now remember, with FHA, mortgage insurance will continue to add up. With conventional, eventually it goes away. And you're going to see the break-even point here shortly. Now, again, you can toggle this little slider here to see what it would look like at any point in time, and you'll notice that here eventually that number stops, and over here it continues to go, where you will have paid $43,000 in mortgage insurance for this FHA product on top of all the interest that you would be paying. So this is where you start seeing some of these differences show up. Now again, we're buying this property in North Richland Hills. Let's not lose the plot. We're trying to buy this property for $395,000. We've gone through it. We've looked at the property itself. We like the property. We like the layout. We like that it's been updated. We like the I think it was 4 beds, 3 baths, and on a quarter of a lot. So we like a lot of the property. So let's not lose the plot. This is just financing that purchase. All right, so with that being said, let's look at what the monthly mortgage payment is going to look like. So here we're going to go to year number 1. What's that payment going to look like? Because it's going to look different in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So we're going to start off in year 1. One of the biggest things that I like to call out whenever we're going through this is, right out of the gate, you're going to see that all 3 loans, conventional 5%, FHA 5%, conventional 20% down, all 3 loans have such little going to principal and so much going to interest. That's the reality of a mortgage. Most of your initial payments are going to go towards interest primarily, and then a few bucks here and there going to principal. It feels that way, right? So, and the best way to illustrate that is going down to the amortization table down here and showing you that it doesn't matter which one of these we select, you're going to find that the payment here, like from that calculates the principal and interest, like when you're adding these together, this payment is going to stay the same. But the principal and interest, this is going to invert. At the beginning, you're paying such little to principal and so much to interest. But as you're making more and more payments, as you continue going down the road, you're going to see this number on the principal side, meaning the loan amount that you're paying down, is going to increase. And over here on the interest side, which is how much it cost you to loan for that loan, that's going to be that's going to decrease, right? So let's see here. Give me 1 second. Let me check on one item. All right. Sorry, my staff was calling me. I just needed to send them a quick message. Pretty discreet, right? All right, so that's just a visual representation of principal and the interest that's getting paid throughout the years for, and that's again is called the amortization table. It gives you a clear view of what that looks like. All right, let's go back up to what the monthly mortgage payment is going to look like. So here on the conventional, you see how much goes to principal, how much goes to interest. And then just so you get the numbers right out of the gate, let me back up so you see all the numbers. On a conventional 5% down, you're paying $53.52 per month. On an FHA, you're paying $53.62. And on conventional 20% down, you're paying almost $3,000. Now, this is what would be going to tax. That's why it's so important that we know what the property tax rate is so we can calculate that. From homeowners insurance, this is an estimated monthly premium that we're paying. Again, using that simple little formula of multiplying it the value of the home times 0.75%. Mortgage insurance here again, mortgage insurance is being paid because we didn't put up to 20%, we didn't put at minimum 20% down, so we're paying mortgage insurance. What you're going to see is that after a few years, let's just say after, let's say on year 11, that should be fine, the mortgage insurance goes away for the conventional 5%, but you're still paying mortgage insurance on an FHA. So just to show you the numbers. All right, in the equity portion, I don't do too much here outside of show you two things. One, how cool this is. At any point in time, you can see how much ownership stake you have in your property. So here in year 23, how much of the property you own on a conventional versus FHA versus conventional, again, or 20% down. So that's one thing that I like to show you in this particular corner. But I also like to show you on the loan details what your break-even point is for that mortgage insurance that we keep talking about. Now this is conventional 5% down. Remember, conventional, eventually you get rid of the mortgage insurance, and when you're looking just at the math, it takes about 10 and a half years to get rid of the mortgage insurance. That's not factoring in appreciation. When you factor in appreciation, so as your home continues to grow in value, this goes down to 9 to 8 to 7 up to 6 years for it to so essentially it goes faster when you factor that in. All right, so let's talk about buying versus renting. That's a big debate, especially right now. What does that look like? Well, what I like to do is I like to show the math, and in some cases it makes more sense for you to rent. In some cases it makes more sense for you to buy. It just depends on what your personal goals are. So at any point, if you want this breakdown specifically done for you, make sure that you schedule a discovery call with us. Happy to walk you through these numbers. But let's just say we're going to buy this house in North Richland Hills, which right now is valued at $395. Let's say we give them asking price. And after 10 years, we have a housing need for the next 10 years, right? So assuming we're still alive, God willing, we still are. In these 10 years, we're going to need a house to live in. So either we need to purchase one so we can live in it, or we need to rent so we can live in that, right? So there's a housing need that you have. Now, assuming that we buy this property and we assume let's say a 3% appreciation rate year over year, That's a reasonable rate. That's not pie in the sky. That is very attainable. So we're going to assume 3%. Cost to sell, let's just say after 10 years, it's going to cost us 5% to sell. That factors in real estate agent commissions. That factors in fixing up the property slightly. That factors in maybe some title work. That's going to factor in the actual cost to sell this property. And let's skew it up higher, even, and just let's go 6%, just because, in case we want to overestimate, if you will. Tax increase per year. We do know that property taxes will increase. Maybe not because, in what you saw on North Richland Hills, you saw that the rate actually decreased, but the property tax will increase because of the value of the home going higher. So the assessed value went higher, not the property tax rate itself. Because here in North Richland Hills, you actually saw that it went from 2.49 or something down to 2.1 something, whatever we ended up calculating it against. So we're going to assume that it's going to rise 3%. And we're also going to assume that the home insurance rate is also going to increase because it costs more to build now. So let's say 3% is what the homeowner's insurance is going to rise year over year. So if we factor that in, our housing costs after these 10 years is going to be from actual benefit versus the cost of buying. You're going to see that on a conventional 5%, it's going to cost us $281,000. Here in FHA is $288,000, and on the conventional it would have cost us $223,000. That's factoring in the appreciation that you gain. So essentially that's the positive side, minus the cost to sell. So had you not bought it, well, you don't have that expense. So we're going to factor that in as a negative. The loan cost, well, had you not bought this property, you wouldn't have this loan expense. So we're going to factor that in as a negative. Property taxes, same thing. If you are the owner, you're the one that's paying property taxes, not the tenant. And then homeowner's insurance. And here, once again, lastly, you're looking at, if you are the owner, you're paying homeowner's insurance on that. So you factor in the benefit plus the actual cost of ownership. It would be it cost you $281,000, $288,000, and then $223,000 depending on your scenario. Now, if you compare it towards the rental payments that you've been making, because again, you have a housing need and you chose to meet it either through buying or through renting, assuming that this is a $2,300 lease that you're paying on a property of this size that's equal of value or equal size to this property in North Richland Hills, the annual increase of 3% per year is a reasonable amount. Even if you want to go lower, you can do that if you so choose. That's why we have the sliders. Your housing cost would have been $316,000, which is higher than the cost for you to own it. Now, if you go, let's just say you make that analysis in 20 years. So in 20 years, if you were to try to do the same thing and sell and do all that fun stuff, your cost would go up to $468,000, $492,000, and $381,000. But look and see what happens to your rental, like how much you're paying in rent. So over those 20 years, this is how much would ultimately be going into your rental expense, right? So this gives you a really good breakdown on the benefits versus the benefits of purchasing versus renting a property. Now, if there's any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out. We do this every single day, every single hour. So we would love to support you in any way that we can. If you're looking to buy or if you're looking to sell, our contact information is down below. If there's a city that you want us to do a breakdown on, please feel free to reach out. Right now, we just did North Richland Hills. We've done a ton of other breakdowns on other cities. So check out the rest of the catalog here on the YouTube channel. And if you found any value, please make sure to like and also hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single video that we're putting out. Thanks so much. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.